Welcome to hour number 2, live right here on this Friday on the early line on SportsGrid. He is Donnie Rightside. I am Ben Stevens. So much to get to here in hour number 2. We'll continue NFL conversations. Aaron Rodgers is now a Pittsburgh Steeler. What does it mean for the Steelers in 2025? Does it elevate the ceiling in the Steel City? Can they contend for a conference crown? Other NFL news from a Thursday as OTAs comes to a close this week, but mini camps sprouting up around the National Football League this week. Following, we'll talk the College Diamond, both in softball, the Women's College World Series, and a winner-take-all Game 3 for a national championship on this Friday in Oklahoma City in the start of the Super Regional Round and the NCAA baseball tournament. Further reaction from the start of the NBA Finals with the coach, J.Y. James Young. How do the Pacers keep pulling off these dramatic comebacks? And then we'll check in on the ice ahead of Game 2 tonight in the Cup Final in Edmonton between the Oilers and the Panthers with the NHL's Chris Meany. DRS, if it sounds like a jam-packed second hour and a star-studded Friday, it's because it is.
Absolutely it is. And by the way, watching game number 1 last night, anybody check out Pop Halliburton in the crowd on the road there, watching the Sun make another big shot at this point. We'll see if he keeps creeping closer. We started at what? The suites? Now we're in the stands. Are we back to home court, front court, center court for this guy? On the game number 3, once we head back to Indy, we'll find that out as well. That should be a fun little attitude, because if they end up knocking off, does he go out there and stare down SGA and be like, hey, look, if I'm never invited back again, so be it. My son's a champion, and I'll go out that way as well. So a lot of good intrigue on game number 1. Into game number 2, big spread once again. Are we biting on that hook?
Big spread.
Who knows? Yeah.
And we'll talk about it, DRS, the 11-point number in favor of the Thunder with a lot of public betting love currently for the Pacers. And how could you fault the people and the money for backing Indiana, who is 8-3 outright as an underdog throughout this magical playoff run? One final point, DRS, one final question for you about Aaron Rodgers now in the Steel City. You said you expect Pittsburgh to go over that win total of 8.5. If they fall under, it would be the first time in 19 seasons under Mike Tomlin the Steelers have a losing record. So the idea that Aaron Rodgers is there and Pittsburgh can be a winning team, or heck, even a playoff team, that's been the standard with guys like Mason Rudolph and Mitchell Trubisky and Justin Fields / Russell Wilson and Duck Hodges and Kenny Pickett playing the quarterback position. That's nothing new. Does Aaron Rodgers, in your mind, elevate this Steelers team to be a true contender in the AFC, heck, maybe even winning a playoff game come January?
It's like, if you win a playoff game, then technically you're a true contender, and you might lean back on the Steelers like, hey, look at all those playoff wins in their history. They really haven't had too many as of late in the past decade. So if them winning a playoff game is almost like monumental. It's like, hey, the Knicks never win championships, but boy, they got to the Eastern Conference Finals. Still ended up firing Tom Thibodeau at that point. But let's understand this. This is an interesting crossroads for the Pittsburgh Steelers, because they actively chose in a draft where we can now get our future guy. We have the semblance of a good football team. DK Metcalf's in town. If this kid can be good over the next 2 to 3 years, maybe we start to make our ascension back as a legitimate threat in the NFL. But now you come into the season and say, we're putting all our ducks in an aging 41-year-old quarterback with absolutely nothing on our bench, where it's like, you know what, I'm going to groom this player to be a good player under me, and he'll take over the wings next year. You passed up on that. So then you go into next year and say, all right, well, if we expect a good season, 9 or 10 wins to make the playoffs, that certainly hampers your draft spots next year in round number 1. And then you have to trade a boatload just to try to get up into the top 10, just to find a guy that might not be as good as if you completely bottom out. The Steelers are never going to bottom out. That's not their MO. But I do find it interesting. That's like, is this Tomlin's last ride? Like, if this doesn't work, and I'm talking about not working, meaning they go under 500 with Aaron Rodgers, there has to be a change somewhere in that organization, where the changes they usually don't like to make are at the head coaching position. That's what I'm worried about mostly, because what is the top end? Winning a Super Bowl? The Steelers aren't going to do that, because I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to be good. I just don't know if he's going to be available on a week-to-week basis here in order for him to do that at that age. It's not a great Steelers team. It's a good Steelers team, but it's not the missing pieces, the quarterback, and we just needed a veteran here to guide us through. So that's my worry. I have them at 9 wins right now. Could they make the playoffs and win a playoff game? Yes, but that's, again, something they haven't done, it feels like, in a long time.
21-1, the price on Pittsburgh to win an AFC championship right now. That is 8th of the 16 teams around the AFC on the FanDuel Sportsbook. If that was eighth, they would miss out on the postseason. There are no make playoff prices, weirdly, at this moment. There are miss playoff prices for all 32 NFL clubs, and you can see with a minus 188 number, Pittsburgh is thought of more than likely to miss out on the postseason rather than qualify. DRS, I think Pittsburgh could go 10-7 and get ousted in the opening round of the postseason once again, and there would still be some serious conversations around Mike Tomlin seeing year 20 at the helm in Pittsburgh. More news around the National Football League as we get ready for minicamp next week around the NFL. And Donnie, it's not good in Indianapolis. Anthony Richardson not going to participate next week, dealing with a shoulder injury. Of course, that is concerning for a quarterback now entering his third year with plenty to prove that he can be a starting quarterback. Heck, even a backup quarterback, but certainly the face of the franchise in Indianapolis. And when it comes to the shoulder, DRS, equally concerning because he only played 4 games in his rookie season before shoulder surgery ended that rookie campaign rather quickly.
And also understand this, from the maturation process, which he's not a rookie anymore. He's been around the block, but where do you get better most of the time? Ask any professional athlete or any collegiate athlete or high school athlete. Once the season is over, this is where I'm going to put in my work. This is where I'm going to work on my skill set here. This is where I'm going to get involved with my wide receivers on timing routes. So by the time we do get to training camp and the regular season, I'll be ready to perform. You lose that once again. Like, if we're talking about just resting this guy, and they weren't even committed, like Shane Steichen was like, I can't even commit right now to when he's going to be available in training camp. So now Daniel Jones is going to get all those reps with those teammates front and center. And even Shane Steichen said, we're not adding a quarterback to the equation just in case he is injured even farther down the line. So it's 2 quarterbacks, and one of those quarterbacks is a rookie. The other one, again, as I said, is Daniel Jones. So does Anthony Richardson just parachute in like late in training camp? I'm the starting quarterback. And understand this guy's always been injured, whether it's shoulder injuries, concussions, what have you, or just pulling himself out of football games. So now we're expecting him. We know he's a dominant runner, a bad shoulder. You know he's still going to run the football, maybe chance damaging that shoulder even further once he gets even into the regular season if he says he's healthy. This is disastrous. You needed this all season to show that organization you can be the starting quarterback. Now you don't have it all season anymore. Not good.
Not good at all, DRS. And yesterday on a great program, Football Full Circle, we were discussing the Saints and their outlook. Tyler Shuck is a minus 310 favorite to be that week 1 starting quarterback, courtesy of our Canadian friends at the FanDuel Sportsbook that have the odds for some of those quarterback battles we can anticipate throughout this summer. And I noted the price on Anthony Richardson at minus 255. And then the news came out a couple of minutes after that. The number started to dwindle on AR. Now he is no longer the favorite to be the starting quarterback week 1 for the Colts. That is Daniel Jones at a minus 166 price. Richardson's second best number, plus 126. Not a great scenario for Indianapolis. Terry McLaurin, DRS, is not very happy with his contract negotiation scenario entering the final year of his deal in Washington. He has let the team know, according to Jordan Schultz, that he's frustrated with the lack of progress on a long-term deal. Of course, the Commanders and McLaurin coming off a career year for everybody last season outside the nation's capital.
Yeah, and they got to get this deal done sooner than later. The expectations of you have a very good young quarterback on a rookie deal, that means everybody gets paid, and everybody on that team understands that as well. He's a good wide receiver. He's not a locker room disruption. He's in the last year of his contract. He's not asking for anything extra early. He should get paid, and he will get paid.
He has been incredible, that being Terry McLaurin in his 6 years in Washington. That prior to last year, a very weird quarterback room with Jaden Daniels, his first season having more than 7 receiving touchdowns. He has 13 to the collegiate diamond.
Falcons are actually relieved that he's kind of not there to create more of a distraction. Look, I mean, I said it the day it happened. It was one of the stupider decisions I've ever seen by a professional NFL franchise to sign a quarterback to a $180 million contract and then draft his replacement exactly 5 weeks later. This was a terrible organizational decision by the Falcons. Now, they're going to spin this, and this is what's annoying about the Falcons and their PR staff. They're going to spin this as if this is the plan we had all along. This is the plan that when, Kirk Cousins either got hurt or didn't play well or got too old, we were going to have Penix come in. And guess what? The new plan is now we're going to keep Kirk Cousins as a backup. So if Michael Penix gets hurt, we told you so. We were right for keeping him on the roster. We were smart for keeping him here. No, this whole thing has been an abject disaster.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Steelers' interest in Aaron Rodgers as a joke. Your boy went off about the entire situation and why it taken so long to forget him. Terry Bradshaw getting involved.
Yeah, insane. Basically, what are you bringing him in for 1 year? All of this drama for 1 year at this guy, where he is now in his career is he's washed.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
With everything at stake this weekend, game number 2 of the NBA Finals on Sunday, game number 2 of the Stanley Cup Final in Edmonton tonight between the Oilers and the Panthers. Make sure on one of your screens, heck, maybe even your main TV if you're a weirdo like myself, you have on the NCAA baseball and softball tournaments. There is just one more game on the softball diamond in one of the great sporting atmospheres in Oklahoma City. Not just game 2 on Sunday, but a winner-take-all game number 3, DRS, to decide a national champion tonight in softball. It is Texas Tech and Texas. The Longhorns, late in the home half of the 6th on Wednesday night, had a 2-run RBI single on a pitch that was trying to be an intentional walk of the Longhorns' Reese Atwood. They win that game by 1. Texas Tech needing to win last night to force this winner-take-all game 3, and that's exactly what they do. No runs in the opening 4 frames, but led by Najee Kennedy, the Red Raiders keep their season and this series alive for a winner-take-all game 3 tonight. 4-3, the victory for Texas Tech, who led 4-1 with Kennedy on the bump. And, of course, if you're talking atmosphere, that's a great opener for it right there. Who led 4-1 DRS last night, entering the top of the 7th inning with Kennedy on the hill. And she gave up 2 in the 7th inning. Texas had a runner 60 feet away on 3rd. That would have been the game-tying run in the game-winning run at the dish. Kennedy gets a strikeout to keep her Red Raiders in the fight. Both Texas and Texas Tech need a win tonight for the first ever national championship in program history.
Yeah, it's pretty cool at that point, right? You're always used to the teams that are always there. It feels like it's Oklahoma and that dynasty finally knocked out. You get a 3-game series, which is great here. The interesting part to me with softball is, like, theoretically, I guess one pitcher could pitch the entire season if they're healthy or you wanted them to do that. Yeah. Like, it's sort of, it loses a little intrigue because you do want the superstars all the time pitching. Like, hey, imagine if you had a 7-game series in Major League Baseball and Tarek Skubal got the ball all 7 games. Like, what are we actually doing here at this point? So it isn't a different, like, anomaly of the sport, which I do find interesting. But anytime you have a championship and it's a championship game that you know is going to be decided that night, you always add some intrigue. And also, 2 programs not used to winning national championships. How do they handle that situation? We'll find out.
No odds up for that game just yet, but Texas Tech was an ever so slight moneyline favorite, minus 115 entering yesterday, minus 111 on the other side for Texas. What DRS is alluding to is Najee Kennedy, who has thrown every single pitch for Tech since the start of the Super Regionals. That was a 2-game series sweep against Florida State, the first ever Super Regional berth, and then thus birth into the Women's College World Series for this Red Raiders program, who has made history on history because of Najee Kennedy throughout the entirety of this season. DRS, 2 games in the Super Regional, 5 games now in total in the Women's College World Series in Oklahoma City. Najee Kennedy has thrown every single pitch. That's 661 pitches consecutively in total. It has been an otherworldly performance from Kennedy, who has only allowed 8 earned runs in this 7-game span. Also starting on this Friday, the Super Regional round of the NCAA baseball tournament. Let's take a look at the odds for these teams to compete for a spot in the Omaha 8 in the Men's College World Series starting next weekend. Super Regional, the format is this: best of 3 series at one site. So you're trying to take 2 of 3. North Carolina will host Arizona in Chapel Hill for a spot in the College World Series. The Heels, a minus 330 favorite for that. All ACC affair between Louisville and Miami. Neither of those 2 teams, DRS, hosted the regional, so the fact they are here is a slight surprise. Florida State and Oregon State, 2 teams with a ton of playoff pedigree in college baseball. And Auburn will take on Coastal Carolina. That one, of course, in Auburn. Coastal winning in the Conway Regional at home this past weekend. A lot of conversation, DRS, will be about the SEC. That starting today, you only see 1 SEC school, despite the fact the conference sent 13 to the baseball tournament, a record setter.
Yeah, it's great. I like the Super Regional setup, too, because you have the regionals, 4 teams meet at location. Super Regional is like, oh, is that another 4 teams at a different site? No, it's basically, you know the team you're going to play. It's a 3-game series. You lose game number 1, you're not out of it. You can still win the next 2, but you certainly want to win game number 1 to sort of put that onus on the other team now. A lot of pressure, a lot of bullpen work here at that point. I like the setup here. And also, you take a look at some of the price points here. Louisville, minus 174. Florida State, minus 125. Auburn, only a minus 160 price as an SEC team going up against Coastal Carolina. But then you have those heavy favorites with Duke and LSU mixed into the sense here. It should be good and fun to watch it work out. And for me, rooting interest in the Miami Hurricanes, not supposed to be here, but winning their regional and then winding up against a team, Louisville, that they probably can compete with just based on the statistics of the odds alone.
Yeah, no doubt about it. By the way, Super Regional Friday gets started today in Chapel Hill. The Diamond Heels take on Arizona. Those 4 games we showed you, those 4 Super Regional sets starting today, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if necessary. And then we have 4 more starting tomorrow. Super Regional Saturday is sensational. There will be a total of 8 games for you in the NCAA baseball tournament. Here are the matchups. Duke, a hefty favorite at minus 410. They will host in Durham, despite not being the regional host last weekend. In 4 seeds forever, DRS. Murray State becoming the 10th ever number 4 seed to win a regional and advance to the Super Regional. Keep an eye on the Racers, a really quality team. LSU will take on West Virginia, Arkansas, and Tennessee in an incredible Super Regional in Fayetteville. Donnie, not just postseason between these 2 SEC foes. Tennessee has not won a road series against the Hogs in Fayetteville since 2001. And out in Los Angeles, it's UCLA and UTSA as well.
Yeah, I do like the fact, too. How about Duke and Carolina only miles apart here, hosting Super Regionals there for a chance to get to Omaha. That's pretty interesting setup as well. But we'll know pretty soon.
Yeah.
Might only take 2, might take 3. Let's go 3 games. We always like when the added things start to build up and give us more things to cheer on this weekend with a lot of pressure-packed moments with big things on the line, like a trip to Omaha. Ooh. Who wouldn't love that?
The SEC disappointing in the opening weekend, but they've won the last 5 national championships. Do not forget. The coach.
Falcons are actually relieved that he's kind of not there to create more of a distraction. Look, I mean, I said it the day it happened. It was one of the stupider decisions I've ever seen by a professional NFL franchise to sign a quarterback to a $180 million contract and then draft his replacement exactly 5 weeks later. This was a terrible organizational decision by the Falcons. Now, they're going to spin this, and this is what's annoying about the Falcons and their PR staff. They're going to spin this as if this is the plan we had all along. This is the plan that when, Kirk Cousins either got hurt or didn't play well or got too old, we were going to have Penix come in. And guess what? The new plan is now we're going to keep Kirk Cousins as a backup. So if Michael Penix gets hurt, we told you so. We were right for keeping him on the roster. We were smart for keeping him here. No, this whole thing has been an abject disaster.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It'll be interesting to see what the Knicks do, but the Knicks are at a point now where they don't have to blow it up. They may still do so, and they have a right to do so, but with trading the 4 first-round picks and the pick swap for Mikal Bridges, the Knicks don't have a lot of room in regards to actual picks to throw at people.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Live right here on this Friday morning on the Early Line on SportsGrid, we will be joined by the coach, J.Y. James Young, in just a matter of moments for his full reaction and his final takeaways from game number 1, the opening night of the 2025 NBA Finals. DRS, we have talked about the history Indiana has pulled off throughout this postseason. Since 1971, teams entering the NBA Finals last night who were trailing by at least 9 points with fewer than 3 minutes remaining in regulation were 0-121. Now make that, 0-182. Now make that 1-182. It is remarkable what this team has done, but we have talked about it a ton here as well. It is now time for the scouting report from our coach, J.Y. James Young. J.Y., let's dive right in. As we have shared throughout this opening hour and here in hour 2, this has been the theme for the Pacers in this magical postseason run. They have now pulled off a miraculous comeback at least once in all 4 of their series throughout this postseason. We know what Indiana did, trailing by 15 points with 9.5 minutes remaining in regulation, trailing by 9 with 2:39 left in regulation, to win by 111-110, courtesy of another game winner from Tyrese Halliburton in the clutch. My question to you is, how does Indiana keep pulling this off?
To quote my students, what the Hallie? I don't know what is happening. And maybe this has been, I don't know if this is a team of destiny. I don't know if they get every break in the world. I don't care. Because at the end of the day, I saw an interesting tweet this morning, right? The Thunder had 18 less turnovers, took 3 more free throws, 15 more shots within 4 feet of the basket, had 3 less fouls, 15 point lead in the fourth quarter. The best player in the world arguably has 38 points, and you lose at home. Like, if I'm a coach and you told me all of that information, this is what I'm going to get out of my team. I'm saying, we won by 20. Like, it was a walk in the park. But it's coaching. And it's the fact that this guy, Carlisle, continues, I keep saying this, getting guys to believe. And it's different guys at different spots. I mean, I sat there and I took Lou Dort to lead the series in threes, and he's tied with Obi Toppin after the first game? Like, what's happening here? But it's about the fact that these guys play, they dig in, and I'm starting to feel like with all the shots, I mean, if we had like Big Shot Bob for Robert Horry, what are we calling Tyrese Halliburton? Because Big Shot Bob would give you like 1 a postseason. This guy's giving you 3 in 3 rounds. What a performance down the stretch by Halliburton, and the entirety of that team sticking together, staying to the plan, and shocking everyone in the fourth quarter again.
Yeah, that was an amazing performance last night just to see them win. Now, let's talk about coaching mindset, too, because game 1 is out of the way. Heavy favorite in game number 1. The Pacers were marked underdogs. They end up winning that game. But also, from a Pacers perspective, Rick Carlisle goes, we didn't even play well, coach, and we won that basketball game. What is your mindset for the Pacers moving forward where you won a game, you were horrendous in the first half, and yet you still put out the victory?
They stole home court. So, I mean, if you thought there was pressure on Oklahoma City in game 1, and I know they said, oh, we've been here before. We get it, and this was Denver, and you hung 145 points, and maybe you do that again in game 2. But you've taken home court. You're Rick Carlisle. You're looking at your guys and say, all the pressure is off of us, and it's going to be, honestly, guys, rinse and repeat. I'm going to play my guys. I'm going to go through my rotation, and then we're going to figure it out as it goes. Everybody be ready. Everybody be locked in. I don't know who it's going to be. It could be you. Be ready to go. And just say, listen, let's get it to the end, and let's go steal it again. It's not like they haven't done it multiple times this postseason. So Rick Carlisle is in a great spot. We keep talking about this. This guy continues to deserve his flowers because he's doing it time and time again for a long NBA career.
A very long NBA career, and maybe underrated is how we can describe Rick Carlisle, and certainly how we should describe Tyrese Halliburton in those clutch moments, in all of those 4 miraculous comebacks for Indiana, against the Bucks in the series clincher, against the Cavs in game number 2, against the Knicks in the opening game of the Eastern Conference Finals in regulation, and of course last night. What was the great common denominator? Tyrese Halliburton coming up with a clutch shot when it mattered most. So that's the result of game 1 and JY's takeaways. Now, what does it mean for the remainder of the NBA Finals? And do we have a series next?
Falcons are actually relieved that he's kind of not there to create more of a distraction. Look, I mean, I said it the day it happened. It was one of the stupider decisions I've ever seen by a professional NFL franchise to sign a quarterback to a $180 million contract and then draft his replacement exactly 5 weeks later. This was a terrible organizational decision by the Falcons. Now, they're going to spin this, and this is what's annoying about the Falcons and their PR staff. They're going to spin this as if this is the plan we had all along. This is the plan that when, Kirk Cousins either got hurt or didn't play well or got too old, we were going to have Penix come in. And guess what? The new plan is now we're going to keep Kirk Cousins as a backup. So if Michael Penix gets hurt, we told you so. We were right for keeping him on the roster. We were smart for keeping him here. No, this whole thing has been an abject disaster.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It'll be interesting to see what the Knicks do, but the Knicks are at a point now where they don't have to blow it up. They may still do so, and they have a right to do so, but with trading the 4 first-round picks and the pick swap for Mikal Bridges, the Knicks don't have a lot of room in regards to actual picks to throw at people.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
The Indiana Pacers steal game number 1 on the road in Oklahoma City, outright of the 2025 NBA Finals. The Pacers now 8-3 straight up as an underdog throughout this magical playoff run. They are 7-2 away from Indianapolis. They are 5-3 in the 8 games they have trailed by at least 15 points at any juncture of that basketball contest. JY, truly history-defying and history-making. That has been the story for Indiana on this playoff run. Will it be also odds-defying from the NBA Finals expectations? Entering game number 1, Oklahoma City was a minus 700 outright favorite to hoist that Larry O'Brien trophy. OKC still a hefty favorite, but now that price has been slashed in half. It is minus 330. JY, your prediction entering game number 1 yesterday, as we asked you, was the Thunder in 5. That could still happen, as the odds makers even have that price lower than plus 300. But Indiana winning game 1 last night, what does that do to your overall outlook for the rest of the NBA Finals?
I need to say a prayer that I'm good. Oklahoma City wakes up and Indiana can't find that glass slipper. It's like it's crazy, because I was talking to a friend and they were like, "Why do you keep discounting the Pacers?" I'm like, "Because this is a different animal." Or is it? So to me, it's just a matter of Oklahoma City, is going to rebound. Listen, 1-1. Coming to the series, did I think maybe minus 350, minus 400? So this is kind of more in line of what I thought it should have been. Too much disrespect given to Indiana pre-series. But I do expect an adjustment made. I'm going to be honest. I was on with Kevin last night doing Game Time Decisions, Ben, and I did not like Mark Daigneault changing his starting lineup right there before and going with Kason, I think it was Kason Wallace who started lineup over Isaiah Hartenstein. And here's why. I believe the biggest advantage, in my opinion, Oklahoma City has is going double big. Because if you go double big, you force Siakam to go guard Chet, because you obviously know that Miles Turner's got to guard Hartenstein, and then you create something in the backcourt of where you go at Tyrese Halliburton or go against Nembhard, who is undersized. By going small, then it allows the shifting of the lineup a little bit that allows everyone to be in place. So I thought that was almost like you play to your strength first rather than go to the other team's strength. I think that's a critical mistake that I thought that Mark Daigneault did. Now, it got Isaiah Hartenstein unlocked and got him going a little bit, because he was obviously, his numbers were way too low in his props. But I still think at the end of the day, you do what got you there. Don't change it. If you want to make a change, coach, change it after game 1. Change it after game 2. Don't change it an hour before the series in this changing of your starting lineup.
Now we take a look at the series prices here on the FanDuel Sportsbook, because yesterday we're chiming in at minus 750s to minus 700s now after a victory for the Indiana Pacers. Coach, we're finding the Oklahoma City Thunder here at a minus 330 price and a plus 265 price for the Indiana Pacers. Still a heavy favorite for the Thunder with expectations of a heavy game number 2 favorite. How do we see the series playing out now? Now that we saw the Indiana Pacers steal game number 1, a wake-up call for the Thunder, is there a chance to buy in on either one of these sides with these price points for you?
Well, I think what's going to happen, Donnie, is it's all going to depend on how game 2 looks. If you want to go ahead and take the minus 330 on Oklahoma City, okay. Probably playing a series spread, but if Oklahoma City goes with what they did, like they did in Denver in game 2, when they won by like 40 points, hung up 140 points, on them, you're going to see that market shift, because it's going to be a kind of a what you have done for me lately. Obviously, game 3 becomes a critical game, because now this is where Oklahoma City can take back home court advantage here, and Indiana has not been as strong as home as they have been on the road. So to me, if you want to jump on right now with Oklahoma City Thunder, it would be now, because if they win impressively, the numbers should shift again in their favor as they even up the series. Particularly, Donnie, if they're impressive in their outcome. I think you're going to get a better play overall and a more of a closing angle of Oklahoma City rather than letting Indiana back in the game. Throw the punch, keep punching throughout the fourth quarter instead of letting yourself off the gas and allowing the team really to go 6 of 10 from 3 in the fourth quarter. I just don't see that happening in game 2.
Yeah.
Of course, we highlighted how the Pacers have been in these spots and pulled off miraculous comeback after miraculous comeback. I guess if you're looking for a glass half full mentality, Oklahoma City has also been in a similar spot. Game number 1 of their second round set against Denver. They led by 13 points with 6.5 minutes remaining. They lost that game stumbling down the stretch, but to JY's point, did return in game number 2 to rout the Nuggets and win by 43. Might we see something similar on Sunday evening, Coach, where the line in favor of Oklahoma City is even stronger than it was entering game number 1? Last night, double digits, sure, but just 10 points. This one, 11 in favor of OKC, with a total that has worked its way down by about a possession. 230 stayed well under last night, 227 and a half. So, JY, in that similar spot, will the Thunder respond with another rout in game number 2 of Indiana?
That's a big line, 11. I mean, that's a huge line, but that's an expectation based off the fact that you expect a comeback. Ben, I'm looking right now at that team total of over 119 and a half. I think you'll see Oklahoma City kind of get after it a little bit, maybe try and get their game, honestly, more up and down, and expect, other guys to play well. Obviously, you got SJ at 38. My guy Lou Dort had 5 threes. Look at his 3-point prop. It's over 2.5 made threes at plus money. I still think they're going to give him the ability to shoot the ball. Tons of attention to Lou Dort. Take a look at that. But I expect there to be more firepower in scoring, particularly out of Oklahoma City. And then you could get a situation where if Oklahoma City is rolling, you could get like what other coaches have done, particularly David Alleman, is just punt and just take the kicking and just regroup for game 3. I do like over 119.5 points for OKC, Ben, on Sunday night.
What do we take a look to from that last series against Minnesota? I like to talk about Chet Holmgren because I always think he could be that piece there that you're saying, oh, maybe he's breaking through, but then taking a step back. You had multiple games where he had 20-plus points against the Timberwolves, but last night you saw, Coach, 24 minutes played, 2 of 9 from the floor, only 6 total points. What can we get out of Chet Holmgren for game number 2 for OKC?
I think you got to play him and Hartenstein together. I think you have to do that and put a little bit of pressure on Pascal Siakam defensively and go at Obi Toppin when he's guarding him as well. Chet should respond and come back. Like I said, I think changing the lineup, Donnie, you've played sports. When a coach sometimes overthinks and changes the lineup, it backfires because all the other parts, everybody's out of sync. Go back to your normal lineup. Go back to Hartenstein in the starting lineup. Let him play with Chet. Let Chet be that weak side rebounder and shot blocker and not have to be the center. And go at it and do what got you 80 wins at this point. I know there's a couple of occasions that they went without Hartenstein in the starting line, but one of them was a Jalen Williams injury, so it's really like 2 games of a sample size. Stop overthinking it. Do what got you here. And I think if they put Hartenstein next to Chet to protect him, kind of like we've seen in the past, someone like Aaron Jackson Jr. getting protected by Steven Adams or Zach Edey, play him in his normal spot, and he should be able to be fine in game number 2.
9 points, 9 boards in 17 minutes off the bench for Isaiah Hartenstein. He was pretty good when he was on the floor. It was playoff start number 1 for Cason Wallace last night in game number 1 of the NBA Finals. So, JY, entering the debut game last night, your series prediction, Oklahoma City in 5. Is there an updated prediction after Indiana steals game number 1 in dramatic fashion?
You know what, Ben? It could be easy to second-guess yourself, but I'm not Mark Dagnall. I'm sticking with it. Gentlemen sweep. They get the next 4. Let's hope I'm right.
Bing
it is still lower than a 3-1 price. Every price on Oklahoma City to win the NBA championship is still half that of Indiana, despite the Pacers having a 1-0 series.
We outside.
A fadeaway to the break in the weekend on the ice next.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups. My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
No one is going to pick Indiana. No one's going to pick Indiana to make it close, honestly. Like, you could get tremendous odds if you pick OKC in 7.
I think that taking the series over 5.5 games, the last 2 NBA Finals series ended in 5. I think this one goes 6. I think the Thunder will get the job done, but I think the Pacers are just too strong of a team and too talented of a team and too deep of a team to lose in 5 or fewer games.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The Steelers' interest in Aaron Rodgers as a joke. Your boy went off about the entire situation and why it taken so long to forget him. Terry Bradshaw getting involved.
Yeah, and saying basically, what are you bringing him in for 1 year? All of this drama for 1 year at this guy, where he is now in his career is he's washed.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
Tonight in Edmonton, it is game number 2 of the 2025 Stanley Cup Final, where the Oilers on home ice have a 1-0 series advantage. To get you set for game number 2 with one final thought on the opening game a few nights ago between Edmonton and Florida, Chris Meany of the NHL joins us here on this Friday to set the stage as we continue the Stanley Cup Final rematch here in the Cup Final in 2025. Chris, as always, we appreciate the time and thanks for being here.
Hey, happy Friday, guys. Always a pleasure to join you. And it was an awesome game 1. You know, you have to sit back and you look at both teams just bringing it at certain points of the hockey game and then getting overtime. Unfortunately, you don't want to see, a puck over the glass, delay a game penalty in overtime, and the game ended that way. But it was a beautiful power play goal. I mean, started by Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, down low to Corey Perry, 40-year-old still getting it done. Nice one-touch behind the back to Connor McDavid, and his second primary assist. He had set up Matthias Ekholm for the game-tying goal in the third, and then for Leon Draisaitl, his second goal and 50th career playoff goal. So nice milestone for him. But, I thought it was a really good hockey game, guys. It was back and forth, a lot of speed, and that's what Edmonton brings to the table. It's one thing that really stuck out to me heading into the Stanley Cup Finals. Something we highlighted over at NHL.com/fantasy was the speed bursts. And you see Edmonton, 532 speed bursts of at least 20 miles per hour, nearly 200 more than Florida. The Panthers did what they could to slow them down, but still at the end of game 1, 33-17, the speed bursts in favor of the Oilers. Those are 20-mile-an-hour speed bursts at least. McDavid had 10. No other player had more than 4. So see McDavid play in all situations as well, guys. Shorthanded time. He was under a mile, total mile all year long, and he's up flirting with 4 miles now in the playoffs. So he's playing in all situations. That's exactly what you want from your leader.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting as it went. Yeah, we'll take it, man. I love it because you know me. I'm an Edmonton transplant right now, Chris, and I'm excited in this series. And we got excitement right off the bat. Let me ask you this question because we know the heart of a champion. I mean, Florida's been around the block third straight time in the Cup Finals here. They're not going to fold after a game 1 overtime loss. But talk to me about the Edmonton Oilers, so important last year, going down 0-3, saying, no, not this year. We're going to play from in front and have the advantage here. The win from Edmonton in game number 1, just for psychology of moving forward after last year being down 0-3 to start.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Donnie, that it was just more important for the Oilers. I mean, both teams, they've shown that they can come back down 0-2. It happened in the first round, Edmonton down 0-2 to the LA Kings. and they've been on a run ever since. And then you look at the second round against the Toronto Maple Leafs, where the Florida Panthers were down not only 2-0 in the series, but down 2 goals late in the second period of game 3. But the Panthers, to your point, they've been there. This is the 3rd straight season. They know what it takes. The Oilers last year, dropping the first 3 games of the series, is certainly important for them to get that first win on home ice, get some confidence. Hey, we can play with these guys. Now we're up in this series. Where it was the other way around, I'd be looking at this game as a must-win situation for Edmonton. I actually don't view it as a must-win situation for the Florida Panthers. I'm a big believer in you're still in this series until you lose on home ice. But I think that the Panthers will bounce back tonight. And again, I think that this series is going to go 7. It's something I believe I talked to you guys about. But yeah, it's certainly important for Edmonton and for Draisaitl, again, with the 2 goals, because last year in the 7 games, he had 0 goals. He had 3 assists. He had 11 shot attempts at 5-5, which wasn't even in the top 10 on his team. So he was very quiet in last year's Stanley Cup final. Not the case so far.
Yeah, Chris, we have talked about the similarities, of course, in the Stanley Cup final rematch, but the big difference is Edmonton home ice advantage. They take advantage in game number 1, winning in OT and not falling in that 0-3 hole. You mentioned the individual performance out of Leon Draisaitl, who scored 2 goals in game 1, including the game winner, hitting the back of the net with only 31 seconds remaining in OT. But I thought you said something right there. When you were with us last week, getting ready for the Cup final rematch, you expected this to go 7 games. You expected this to be tightly contested. So as we look at the updated series outright odds, Edmonton entered game 1 as a -125 favorite. They take advantage and win game 1. Now it's -225. How did Edmonton's win, if at all, in the opening game of the Cup final, change your view on the rest of this series?
Yeah, it didn't really. I'm still going to stick to 7 games. Still like that number. I think this series will go the distance, and these 2 teams are just so talented. And you could see it in game 1. And even in the second period, the shots at 5-5, 17-4 in favor of the Panthers. And then the Oilers have such a strong third where they're 14-2 in favor of Edmonton and got them right back into the game. Again, tight checking. Both teams very familiar with each other. They have a lot to offer. They're deep. You know, they're 3 lines deep. They have 4th lines that they can trust. Both teams have, blue liners that are shooting the puck. Kevin Bouchard is a guy last year that led the Stanley Cup finals with 67 shot attempts. And he was tied with McDavid for the most shots in the series at 20. And what we saw from him in game 1, it was kind of a carryover from last year. 14 shot attempts, 7 shots, led all players. But on the other side, Aaron Ekblad, Seth Jones, these guys are putting pucks towards the goal as well. So, it was great that Edmonton got the first win at home. Needed overtime to get there. Their big boys showed up. But the Panthers they're not sweating this thing out, guys, right? They have what it takes to get right back into this series. And, yeah, plus 185 for a 7-game series. I'm still sticking to that.
Yeah, hopefully we get that, because that will be certainly exciting. Back-to-back years of Game 7s, and maybe it changes, certainly with the location. Game 7 back in Edmonton as opposed to last year's Game 7 in Florida. Chris, if we take a look at the Conn Smythe Award trophy here, you are going to get games where you see, you know what, 2 goals by one guy. He's probably the favorite now to win it all, including an overtime winner. Not the case. Connor McDavid still a -140 price. Leon Draisaitl now a +430 price. Do you agree that McDavid still should be the favorite here, despite not scoring, but did get the key assists?
Yeah, he did get those key assists. As I mentioned, the primary assist to set up Ekblad, a beautiful sauce, and then the pretty easy pass from over Draisaitl on the power play wide open. I agree with those odds, but I think we chatted about Leon Draisaitl in the 3rd round at 15-1. We chatted about him at 8-1 heading into the Stanley Cup final, 2 goals, right? It's something that he would probably need to have 6. This series would need to go maybe 6-7 games. He gets 6 or 7 goals and, he scores. But another guy that I like on that list is a dark horse is Sam Bennett. And he scored 2 goals in that game. Sam Bennett leads all players in the postseason with 12 goals. He's tied for first in high danger shots. He leads the playoffs in high danger goals. He's on a heck of a run right now. He was awesome for the Panthers in game 1. So don't sleep on Bennett.
2 goals in the opening game. We'll talk game 2 with Chris next.
it'll be interesting to see what the Knicks do. But the Knicks are at a point now where they don't have to blow it up. They may still do so, and they have a right to do so, but with trading the 4 first-round picks and the pick swap for Mikal Bridges, the Knicks don't have a lot of room in regards to actual picks to throw at people.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
No one is going to pick Indiana. No one's going to pick Indiana to make it close, honestly. Like, you can't really, you could get tremendous odds if you pick OKC in 7.
I think that taking the series over 5.5 games, the last 2 NBA Finals series ended in 5. I think this one goes 6. I think the Thunder will get the job done, but I think the Pacers are just too strong of a team and too talented of a team and too deep of a team to lose in 5 or fewer games.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The Knicks really got past that playoff dragon for them that really stood in their way. So for the New York Knicks to be the Celtics and then an outright favorite to win the Eastern Conference Finals, that's where the disappointment is.
The goalpost got moved, right? Because when you went into the Celtics series, a lot of Knicks fans said they weren't going to beat it. This, I'll say this is more unprecedented than the 99 run when they were the 8 seed.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Face. It's the new face. New face of what? The hell are you talking about? Like seriously. Oh, the new face of the NBA, Anthony. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like, really? Guy's got 2 shots. You're the face of the NBA. Slow down. He's a good player. I've always thought the whole face of the NBA thing was comical. You want him to be the face of the NBA because you don't like it that all the other faces in the NBA aren't American.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Game number 1 of the Stanley Cup Final in the books. The Edmonton Oilers winning in OT, courtesy of Leon Draisaitl, have a 1-0 series advantage as we get you set for game number 2 on this Friday back in Edmonton. Chris Meany still here with us on this Friday on the Early Line on SportsGrid. And Chris, as we look at the odds for game 2, the Oilers remain a slight home ice favorite. -120 is that money line price. Total still at 6.5. Did push to the over, courtesy of overtime in the opening game of this series. Chris, let's go team by team, starting with Florida. What is the biggest adjustment you expect the Panthers to make from the end of game 1 to tonight's game 2?
Yeah, it's a great question, Ben. I did talk about the speed in the previous block. I mean, they're going to have to do what they can to slow down some of the big boys and mention the speed bursts and heavily in favor of the Edmonton Oilers. Something else that caught my eye was the high danger chances. This Florida Panthers team, they've been one of the stingiest teams at 5-5 over the past few years. You look at the series against Carolina, they only give up 25 high danger shots. In game 1, I know it was overtime, pretty much 4 full periods, 15 high danger shots they gave up. The favor in Edmonton, significantly, 15-6 overall high danger shots. Bobrovsky, 15 high danger shots against, and that was the first time all playoffs where he had more than 11 against. So Florida is going to have to, again, try to slow down the speed, clog up the neutral zone. I think that's why we're seeing a lot of shot attempts from the Blue Liners in Edmonton. But that's the biggest adjustment that they'll have to make is to try to get in those, a lot of the goals, that's where they happen, right in the slot. Ekholm's goal, high danger goal. Draisaitl, high danger goal. Actually, both of his goals were high danger goals right in front of the net. So they're going to have to clean up some of the trash, I suppose, in front of the net that Edmonton is just getting those easy areas.
Should be excitement again in Edmonton. They can certainly smell it. First time in a long time that Canada now in control of the Stanley Cup Final. But granted, it is only 1-0, but still home ice advantage in Edmonton's favor. Can they get a 2-0 series lead? If you look at the FanDuel Sportsbook, the number is coming down slightly here on the Edmonton Oilers, around that 125, 126 price. We're now looking live at a -120 price on the money line for the Edmonton Oilers and a total of 6.5. The Florida Panthers, as we said, getting a lot of respect, only a +100 now, underdog in this game. Chris, what does that mean for game number 2 in Edmonton tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I do think this is going to be a high-scoring series. It was last year. There was some 5.5 totals, and if it was a 6.5, I think 4 of the 7 were under. But later, as the series got deeper, we started to see some goals, and both of these teams are just so gifted offensively. So I like Florida bounce back. I think that. I don't believe it's a must-win situation for them, but I think that there's a lot of positives. Despite me being negative about their game and the high-danger chances and the speed that the Oilers brought to the table, I do believe that the Panthers will get back into this series tonight, and I do have a slight lean to the over, but there's a few players in particular that I have my eye on for player props. I mean, I mentioned Sam Bennett and the 12 goals that he has. He's got 6 goals in his last 6. He's tied for 4th in points here in the Stanley Cup playoffs. He's 2nd in shots. He's tied for 1st in shot attempts. He puts a lot of pucks towards the goal. He's got 5+ shots in each of his past 2 games and at least 3 shots in 10 games. So a little bit of juice there on the 3-shot prop, but I do like that. And just that line in particular, because Barkov and Reinhart, although that's a deadly duo, they're on the ice pretty much every time that McDavid hops over the boards. And halfway through that game, there was some line juggling where they put Draisaitl with McDavid. So that's just a handful for Barkov to take care of those 2 guys. But where the mismatch is, Bennett, Tkachuk, and Verhaeghe. Bennett has 9 points in his last 6. Tkachuk has 8 points in his last 6. Verhaeghe 8 in his last 6. That's 25 points from that trio in the last 6 games. So there's a mismatch there. They had a lot of chances in game 1. I expect them to have a lot of chances in game 2. So I'd look at that trio, all 3 of them to hit the score sheet, get plus money at Tkachuk maybe for an assist. And on the other side, Corey Perry playing with Draisaitl and McDavid, plus money, not only playing at 5-5 with those guys, but playing on the power play with those 2 players as well. So it's somebody that I would take a look at. But yeah, some pretty good odds there. Tkachuk plus 230 for a goal. Why not Leon Draisaitl plus 115? And Bouchard would be my guy as well. You can't ignore those 14 shot attempts in game 1. Look for him to have 3 shots. You get plus money on that as well.
Game number 2 of the Stanley Cup final tonight in Edmonton. The Oilers have that 1-0 series advantage, a slight favorite to make it a 2-0 series lead. Before we head to sunrise, the reigning Stanley Cup champs, the Florida Panthers, continuing that title defense, trying to draw their first blood here in this Cup final. And of course, Edmonton trying to celebrate for all of Canada to bring Lord Stanley's Cup back to the Great White North for the first time in more than 3 decades. As we always do, Chris Meany, thank you for being here on this Friday to talk the Stanley Cup final. Have a great weekend, my friend.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. You as well. Have a great rest of your show.
Appreciate it. Hour number 3 comes your way next.
Falcons are actually relieved that he's kind of not there to create more of a distraction. Look, I mean, I said it the day it happened. It was one of the stupider decisions I've ever seen by a professional NFL franchise to sign a quarterback to a $180 million contract and then draft his replacement exactly 5 weeks later. This was a terrible organizational decision by the Falcons. Now, they're going to spin this, and this is what's annoying about the Falcons and their PR staff. They're going to spin this as if this is the plan we had all along. This is the plan that when, Kirk Cousins either got hurt or didn't play well or got too old, we were going to have Penix come in. And guess what? The new plan is now we're going to keep Kirk Cousins as a backup. So if Michael Penix gets hurt, we told you so. We were right for keeping him on the roster. We were smart for keeping him here. No, this whole thing has been an abject disaster.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
Rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Steelers' interest in Aaron Rodgers as a joke. Your boy went off about the entire situation and why it taken so long to forget him. Terry Bradshaw getting involved.
Yeah, and saying basically, what are you bringing him in for 1 year? All of this drama for 1 year at this guy, where he is now in his career is he's washed.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.